Hey, music maker, Graham here from recordingrevolution.com. Let's look at what I think is the home studio owner's secret weapon for mixing. And it's an underutilized weapon. There's a lot of videos out here on YouTube land. Many are mine, many are my friends, all giving you helpful advice on mixing technique, recording technique, sometimes tricks. And all of that's great. That's all very needed and helpful. But what I don't see a lot of people talking about, and what's being used all the time, is this secret weapon for filling out mixes, making mixes more interesting and more radio ready. And that is the simple yet powerful tool at your disposal, no matter what DAW you work in, and that is a sampler or a virtual instrument. Just about every DAW comes with one. Pro Tools is known for Expand. All this is a virtual instrument that has sampled just about everything you can imagine: pianos, strings, synths, guitars, drum loops, right? Organs. And these are stock. Usually you get one of these in your DAW that can be any, MIDI instrument you want to play. Now, some of these stock ones don't sound as good as their expensive counterparts. Like if you buy dedicated string virtual instrument or orchestral strings, you can get some really great sounding strings that probably sound better than the stock sampler. That's okay. If you're a composer, you might want to go that route because you might want very specific sounds. I'm a guitar playing singer-songwriter mix engineer. I don't need this to be the dominant thing. I need this as a mixing weapon. Okay, I know it's a recording plugin and it's meant for performing and recording. I view this as a mixing super secret weapon. And let me show you two examples of songs where this comes in handy. Here's what happens: either as a songwriter or as a mixer, I'll get a track. And I'm gonna use some of my own songs right now, for example, because I do this all the time with my own songs because I give myself permission. I'll have a song that the arrangement is fleshed out and pretty solid. And yet when it comes time to mix, it feels empty and it needs something, and no amount of processing is going to fix it. It needs an arrangement element, and that's where this plugin comes in handy. So for one example, here's the intro to a song that, as it's written and as it's played live, is me and an acoustic guitar for the intro. The song builds and gets very full band, but it's very boring at the beginning. Take a listen. Take my sin as far as east is from the west. Let me enter in the rest of my Lord. For you have been slow to anger, quick to bless, full of mercy and abounding steadfast love. For you do not deal with us, Lord. All right, it starts to pick up there in the pre-chorus. But that intro, it's meant to be very exposed. It's meant to be very simple. You get to verse 2 and then you've got, full band going. What is man but little flowers in the field? The wind blows over us and we are gone. But you, right, so it builds, and then once we get into the chorus, and the bridge is huge, and there's gang vocals, and great. Nobody cares, though, if the intro is boring. Okay? Did you follow that? Nobody cares what I've done for the rest of this song, or how interesting it gets, or what your song sounds like in chorus 2. Nobody cares. If the first few seconds, as great as they might be in your eyes, I intentionally wrote the intro of this song, this first verse, to be very sparse and very intimate and delicate, just me and a guitar. And yet, when it's all recorded, again, this song hasn't been mixed, but I'm looking at all the tracks now, or we're going to sit down and mix it, and I'm looking at it, and you're saying, it's just a little boring. It's a little empty, and I don't really want to keep listening. And I don't want to do that to myself, because then I'm shooting myself in the foot, because then the rest of the song that I wrote and recorded doesn't matter if people get bored. So what I do in these moments is grab something like Expand, and I start adding a couple of layers, sometimes one, sometimes two, sometimes six, of electric pianos or pads or strings or synths or something that's not going to take over, but that just will create an atmosphere and create something a little bit more interesting where I feel like there's maybe some gaps. And so on this song in particular, I added two things. I added a tremolo piano. So we now have this piece here. Take my sin as far as east is from the west. Let me enter in the rest of my Lord. For you have been. Right? So you get a little bit of that texture on the attack of the keys, but then that mark two is sustaining, is the word. So it fills in some gaps where the acoustic guitar drops off. And then has a couple of moving parts, very, very subtle, but they move a little bit. And then even I took it a step further and thought it needed some more atmospheric stuff, so I added a very simple pad with this patch here. My sin, as far as east is from, let me enter in the rest of my Lord. For you have been slow to anger, quick to bless, full of mercy and much more interesting, right? If we take those away. My sin, as far as east is from the west, let me enter in the rest of my Lord. For you have been slow to anger, quick to bless. So there's just enough intrigue there to keep me listening. And this was something that wasn't written. I didn't have these parts. There's piano parts later, but I didn't have these key parts at all. It wasn't until the song came together and I'm thinking as a mixer and I'm thinking, this is boring. And so I always reach for my virtual instrument multi-sampler to save the day. Let me give you another example in another song. All right, in this song, it's a very stripped down song in general, and it's just got this looping acoustic guitar part. That's perfectly fine, but even when I was mixing this, I felt, this is still a little boring. And this song gets really cool, and all these circular vocal parts and string parts and gang vocals again, but who cares? Who cares if we never get to it? And so I said it needs something, and I reached for the secret weapon, which is my multi-sampler expand, and I added what is I'm calling this muffled pad that I layer on top. Right? Very creepy, very X-Files, UFO. It's something that's interesting and not natural, where an acoustic guitar is a natural instrument. You hear it and you immediately are familiar with it. So then you add this unfamiliar sound, and just for a moment, as a listener, you might go, "Oh, what's this?" And if it just gets you to pay attention for another 10 to 15 seconds to hear the vocal and then go, "Oh, this is cool," then it's doing its job. And this is the point I'm trying to drive home for you today is, since I know that a lot of you that watch these videos aren't just mixing tracks. You are writing songs and you're producing your own songs and you're working with your own band or with bands very intimately in the song creation process. You're doing it all. You got to think about this multi-sampler, the virtual instrument that you have in your toolkit. Even if you don't play keyboards, I cannot play keyboard to save my life. Okay? Just go watch the video series I've done here on YouTube on how to record a song from scratch. There's a video there where I'm adding some virtual instruments, and you can literally watch me trying to play a part that I'm making up, and I can't play for more than 2 chords. My fingers get tripped up. So that's why I use my DAW. I move the MIDI notes around and I figure out chords and I try things until it sounds cool. And these are all simple parts, but they all create a texture or a piece of intrigue so that the song isn't boring when there's these empty spaces, these gaps. And a lot of times it can happen at an intro if it's a slow build of a song, or in a bridge where everything drops out, or a quiet chorus. Instead of effects and mixing tricks, sometimes it's the arrangement that is showing its holes and its weaknesses, and that's where this virtual instrument concept can come into play. And this is so important for you. What I'm doing here is basically arranging on the back end. I've arranged the song before I recorded it, but sometimes you don't know the full arrangement until you see all the pieces together and you need to adjust or add or take away. And in this case, I'm adding to the arrangement. If you don't know what arranging is, or if you don't think about arranging much, then you're skipping or underutilizing one of the most powerful steps in the song creation process. And it's one of 6 steps. Okay. Mixing is the one that gets all the glory. Oh, mixing. And recording probably too, because that's fun. Recording and mixing, but those are only 2 of 6 critical steps to song creation. Arranging is one of those. It's step number 2, okay? If you don't know this, you need to download my guide. I have a guide called 6 Steps to a Radio-Ready Song Guide. What are these steps? They literally are the 6 steps that every song has to go through and goes through. Whatever you hear on the radio, whatever you like, whatever your favorite band has, I guarantee you they have taken these songs through these 6 steps, whether they know it or not. You can't just write a song and record it and put it out there, okay? That's only 2 steps, writing and recording. There are 6 steps, and they go in order, and you can't skip one. And it's very, very important. And so your steps will look different in the sense of how you implement them and what your song is. This is why this applies to any kind of music. But every song goes through these 6 steps. And what I'm talking about today really is part of step 2, and then I'm going back to step 2 in the middle of step 5 of the mixing step, and I'm adjusting it step 2 there because now I'm seeing all the pieces together. It's the arranging step, so powerful. So if you're not familiar with those 6 steps, you got to get this guide. It's absolutely free. It's my gift to you for being a viewer, for watching these videos to the end. You're one of the good ones. So download it at radioreadyguide.com. Put the link here in the video and in the description box. Once you go download it, it's absolutely free. It's an easy to read PDF, but I think it'll be a helpful resource for you to come back to again and again every time you're about to work on a song. That's how I created it. It was for that purpose. So you have a song idea, pull it up on your phone, the download, or pull it up on your tablet, or if you're old school like me, I print up stuff and like have it on my desk and look at it and say, okay, what's step 1? Let me take this song through step 1, and then step 2. I'm going to step 4. I skip step 3, and it'll walk you through. That way, you go from 1 to 6. By the end of step 6, your song is ready to release. That it will sound so good that it could be played on the radio. That's the whole point of the Radio Ready Guide, okay? Really, really important that you get this guide and implement it and see this little mini step I was doing today with the virtual instrument sampler in action. It's a great tool. You've got one in your DAW for free, more than likely. All the major ones do. So grab it, use it, even if you can't play keyboards. Thanks for watching today's video. Thanks for subscribing to this channel. It really means a lot. Appreciate all your comments. I want to ask you a quick question before you go. Do you use your virtual instrument multi-sampler in your DAW? And in what ways do you use it? And how often would you say you use it? Leave a comment below. I'm very curious to see how you are implementing this, if at all. And let the community know so we can get ideas of how to better fill out our arrangements with these built-in free tools that we already have. See you on another video real soon.